So what is the actual role and responsibilities of the Vice President of the United States? Let's talk about it. There's been a lot of discourse in the comments and on the app that I've seen where people are saying, why can't she do all of the things that she's saying she's going to do? Kamala Harris, that is. Why can't she do them now? Why hasn't she done them in the last 3.5 years? And then people are in the comments saying, well, she's only the vice president. She can't do it. She has no power. I'm going to dispel that right here in this video. So first of all, the role, requirements, and eligibility of the president. They must be at least 35 years old. They must be a natural born citizen of the United States, and they have to have at least been a permanent resident of the United States for the last 14 years. That's that. They have to also be ready at any moment to be able to assume the role of president and commander-in-chief if the current president and commander-in-chief become unable to perform their duties. So if for some reason something happens with Biden and he can't, she's president right away. Right away. There's no orientation. There's no conversations with Chuck Schumer or Nancy Pelosi or Obama. She's president right out the gate. So when people are saying she has no power, she has tons of power. She would have to have access to everything in order to be able to jump in at a moment's notice. It doesn't make sense otherwise. There's no time to like fill her in on stuff, right? So she does have access. Biden said himself, whenever he's making big decisions and signing things, she's the last one in the room. She would have to be. Okay, so there's that. Second part of that job is she is the president of the Senate. You know, the Senate, the House. She's the president of that whole thing. So when they're voting on things, when they're voting on executive orders that he wants to push, when they're voting on legislation for reparations or the border wall, and there's a tie for whatever reason, there's not really much of a tie because I think the Democrats own most of the seats right now, which that's why the seats are always a big deal. If there's something that happens where they need a tiebreaker, she's the only one. She's the sole person responsible for breaking those ties. So again, she does have power. Second in command. She gets to say, so if there's something on the table and there's a tie, she's going to obviously vote left because she's on the Democratic Party. Okay? Okay. Secondly, when we're talking about legislation and like say the reparations bill that just got shut down in California, right? So that whole thing got shut down. It doesn't matter if Biden wants to sign things and make executive orders, whatever. She has extensive amounts of power. So when we're talking about the border wall and people are saying, well, the Republicans shut it down, the Democrats all voted on it, and they had this big bill and the Republicans shut it down. The reason, that's true. The reason why the Republicans shut it down is more than 80% of that bill, in terms of the funds, the trillions of dollars, was going to Ukraine. So they put it all in the one bill, the border bill, but they padded it with a whole bunch of other things. And the Republicans said, no, we'll vote for that, but we're not voting for all this. We're not voting for all this money to go to Ukraine. So let's be clear when we're saying things like the Republicans shut down the border wall bill. And not only that, if there was a tie or a toss-up or some discrepancy, Kamala was the tiebreaker. Okay? Secondly, she is the presiding officer over the receiving and counting of all electoral ballots for the presidency. So before anyone does an acceptance or any type of this person won or that person won, the vice president receives the numbers for them, for the electoral ballots. She's the tiebreaker. Kamala Harris has tremendous amounts of power. So for all of the people in my comments and on this app saying if she's been in the White House for 3.5 years, why hasn't she done it? That is a valid question, because when you take what her responsibilities are and her two roles, vice president, second in command, commander-in-chief, second in command, behind no one. Biden and her, and then the president of the Senate, she has tremendous power. she has tremendous influence, just like I've said before. But I felt like I needed to come on here and give you the roles, eligibility, and requirements of the vice president so you could understand better. So everything that she's saying she's going to do on day one, in actuality, while they were voting on these things, she had power. And you can't tell me that she didn't, because I just told you what her job is. So, and she's not left out of things because she's only the VP. Because remember, if for some reason he can't be the vice president, she jumps right into the role. There's no debriefing. There's no orientation. There's no filling her in on what he's been up to. She's the other person and the last person in the room. So I hope this clarifies. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them in my comment section. Thank you for watching. Please repost this, because I think a lot of people are not aware of this. So please repost it, share it, like it, comment on it. And then if you want some long form content that I'm providing on additional platforms, you can check in my bio for those. But in the meantime, have a great day. Bye.